After its defeat in the First World War, Germany was in a dire state of economic and political instability. The Nazi embrace of anti-Semitism in its most extreme form was in part a way to limit political competition. They managed to brand Marxism as a fundamentally Jewish threat in order to reduce its appeal to working classes, but it also allowed a humiliated country to feel superior to a group that it was already willing to see as outsiders and then to further exclude them. As a human endeavor, the Holocaust was almost impossible to understand, but in 1946, just after the end of the war, linguist Max Weinrich wrote one thing about it that I think about often. He wrote that the Jew could be represented as the embodiment of everything to be resented, feared, or despised. He was a carrier of Bolshevism, but curiously enough, he simultaneously stood for the liberal spirit of rotten Western democracy. Economically, he was both capitalist and socialist. He was blamed as the indolent pacifist, but by strange coincidence, he was also the instigator to wars. This prejudice had endured so long and had been used in so many ways that it had become infinitely flexible, infinitely elastic. It had become totally dissociated from anything unique to Jews and instead had become untethered grievance that could be aimed at will. Decades ago, sociologist Zygmunt Bauman wrote that anti-Semitism fits so well with so many local obsessions because Jewishness itself isn't actually connected with any of the things that anti-Semitism accuses it of.
A small group of philosophers who had escaped Hitler's murderous regime returned to Germany and performed a kind of moral autopsy on the Third Reich. The most famous of the so-called Frankfurt School of philosophers was a man named Jürgen Habermas, best known, I would say, but it was Habermas's mentor, Theodor Adorno, who wrote that the first step in that nation's descent into hell was, and I quote, the conversion of all questions of truth into questions of power. He described how the Nazis, and I quote again, attacked the very heart of the distinction between true and false.